So we now have a brand new update for the DJI Avata. This is version 01.00.02.09, and we also have an update for the Goggles 3 version 01.00.01.017. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what's new with this update and why I think this update makes the Avata 2 even better and also cheaper if you want to upgrade from the first generation of Avata. Now, the first update we have is what I consider a big one. We now have 4K 100 FPS slow motion up from 2.7K 120 FPS. And in my opinion, this is huge, especially for those of us that are shooting a lot of FPV slow motion, or for those of us that are mixing up regular shots with some slow motion shots to use or to create some speed ramps. So now you basically have everything you need, from crisp 4K resolution in 30 FPS for a more cinematic look, to 4K slow motion at 100 FPS for some epic action shots, or however you want to use slow motion on an FPV drone. The biggest advantage with this is that you no longer have to mount an additional camera on top like the Action 2 just to get that 4K slow motion. And another thing is that when you mount a heavy camera on top of the Avata 2, like the Hero 12 for example, or the Action 4, you will have a higher chance of getting prop washed. So for this shot, for example, I had the Action 4 mounted on the Avata, and on one of the first turns actually it went into prop wash, and the turn wasn't really that sharp either. So what I mean is that having 4K 100 FPS now just makes it so much easier to capture those high quality slow motion 4K shots, because you don't need to add any cameras on top of the drone. So it's going to be much better and also a lot cheaper, because you don't have to potentially risk losing these cameras that you mount on top. So yeah, this is a huge upgrade for me, and I think this is going to be a huge upgrade for a lot of people owning the Avata 2. Now, the next one is the Goggles 3, which is also supporting D-Log M now, which gives you more dynamic range when you fly. So it basically means that you have a much better image inside the goggles, and you'll be able to see more details, which is always helpful. Now, the next big thing with the Avata 2 is that this is also backwards compatible with the Goggles 2, with the Goggles Integra, and also the RC Motion 2 controller and the FPV controller too. So if you already have the Avata 1 and you have been on the fence of getting the Avata 2, you can now actually buy the Avata 2 standalone for only $489 US, and then use the goggles and the controllers you already have from the Avata 1 or the DJI FPV drone. However, the Goggles V2, which came with the DJI FPV drone, is not compatible, but the FPV controller is. So in order to link the Goggles 2 and the FPV controller 2 to the Avata 2, you first have to make sure that all devices have the latest firmware. So the FPV controller 2, the Goggles 2, and it's also good to have the latest firmware on the Avata 1, as it could make the linking process easier. And when it comes to updating these devices, you basically have two ways of doing so. You can either connect the Goggles 2 to the Avata 1 and the FPV controller 2 and update every single device simultaneously. And if that fails, you can go through the DJI Assistant 2 and update each device individually. So once everything is updated to the latest firmware, you power on the Avata 2 and the Goggles 2 and the FPV controller 2. And inside the goggles, you go into status by swiping forward on the touchpad, and then you go to switch, and then down the list here you'll be able to see the Avata 2. And when you select the Avata 2, everything should automatically link up. But if it doesn't, you can always press hold on the battery of the Avata 2 to put it into link mode, and then press and hold the button inside the Goggles 2 to do the same thing, and then press hold the power button on the FPV controller until it goes into peering mode. But keep in mind, this also takes a few minutes before everything is linked up. So it's not like you have an instant connection. For me, I think it took about a little over a minute before everything was linked up. Now, we also have a new Lightcut app update as well, which will have some new features like Sky VFX, wireless connection, and one-tap edit. So with the wireless connection, you can now connect the Avata 2 directly to the app and browse through all your footage, edit, and add effects without having to download the clips first, which is amazing if you're like me and you have limited storage on your phone. We also have that one-tap editing now, which will automatically trim your footage and puts together prepare a video for you with suitable music for FPV. And this is awesome if you're on the go and want to share something quick and easy from the location you're at, whether this is a short film to YouTube or a quick reel for Instagram. You can just connect the Avata 2 and have the app edit a video for you, which is fantastic. And then you can later change to a 16:9 or 9:16 aspect if you want to do that. Add some music, add stickers, and also go back and edit the entire video manually if you prefer that, or just do some manual corrections. There's also a new color recovery feature for D-Log-M, so despite shooting in D-Log-M, you can now actually correct this inside the app, which is amazing. So you no longer have to rely on an editing software in order to color correct the D-Log-M footage first. It's now all built into the mobile app, which is quite useful. And then we also have the Sky VFX, where you can add game-like effects, virtual cockpits, sound effects, and other gameplay features if you prefer to do that, to kind of spice up your videos a little bit more. So this is similar to what we've seen with the Insta360 app over the years, and I love that DJI is going in the same direction and adds something different. I really like that. So there you have everything you need to know about the latest firmware for the Avata 2 and what's coming in the Lightcut app. Let me know your thoughts on this update down below. My favorite is definitely 4K 100 FPS, and I can see myself enjoying this a whole lot when I go on my next vacation and cruising those waves. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. And with that said, thanks for watching. Bye bye.